WebsiteClosers.com represents owners of businesses in the online industry. As a boutique brokerage focused on representing sellers of internet and digital businesses, we have noticed that during the process of the sale, there is a never-ending flow of issues requiring answers. Today's discussion is going to deal with the emotion that inevitably is involved in just about any acquisition. Now, we're going to start with the seller side. The process of running a business revolves around taking input and data and using the data to deduce a strategic plan of attack. The more intellect and finesse that is employed, the stronger and more impactful the results will be. Understand the road ahead in the acquisition process can be fraught with lowball offers, unreasonable demands, and not always even at the behest of the buyer. Interpretations during due diligence from so-called experts that lack tremendously in common sense, and even contingencies placed on the deal by the financing entity. There are times that the annoyance begins to build to a point where a seller might take these things personally. This is a mistake. Logic needs to rule and emotion needs to be checked at the door, because in every case it is imperative to step back, take a deep breath, and look at the bigger picture. Now, it might not be the perfect picture, but life itself is not perfect. And the process of selling a business is no different. In the end, if the results are in line with what you expected, but every detail is not as you had wished, then it makes sense to complete the transaction. Believe me when I tell you the grass is not usually greener on the other side, and the next buyer in line will substantially similar to the one that you're contemplating walking away from. Now, as is the case in any transaction, both sides need to be willing to lose on some points and gain on others. It's the essence of negotiation. Now, no transaction ever results in one party getting everything they want. What is key to identify deal breakers in every transaction that are particular to you and stick to them. Now, all other emotions and issues that come up, they're just noise. Now, on the buyer side, the process is even more difficult. You are entering an arena where you will never know what the seller knows, and you will have to employ both intellect, expertise, and common sense. Not only you, but the professionals whose advice you're going to seek. Buyer deal stressors are similar to seller deal stressors. Any action may occur during due diligence that you perceive as negative from the seller or his agents, but this does not change the dynamics of the deal. Buyers, too, should take a deep breath, step back, and look at the big picture as a whole. And remember, not every detail is a make or break scenario. If the big picture is the same, if it's solid, as you viewed it when you first entered the agreement, then why waste time obsessing over the smaller issues? Again, the key is to lay out your own deal breakers and ensure that you stay strong on those particular issues. Now, secondary issues should be negotiated, and you will win and you will lose some. Other forms of emotion that can run high on the buyer side are factors of uncertainty. Are you making the right move? As small details don't go your way, you begin to feel added pressure, and the emotion builds, and you wonder if this is the right thing to do. Now, I can liken this to an experience I had in the past moving forward on a deal of a company that I was the owner of. I opened my first 2 stores in Colorado and decided that the East Coast would be more lucrative. I started in New York and looked for a location that would give me entry into this side of the country. Now, after being turned down by all the malls in New Jersey and New York, I received an offer from, at that time, the largest mall on the East Coast, which was just outside of Philadelphia. Now, everything went well, and I decided that, and that store did so well, I decided to go into the Washington, D.C. market, which was unbelievably successful. The offer I received, though, was not in my formula. At that point, I was used to doing 30 to 40 yard line locations at reasonable rents. In this case, the rent was double what I was used to paying, and the location was all the way down at the end of the mall next to a JCPenney's. That store, however, did rank number 4 among all the locations in the country, and it was doing extremely well. A lot of the stores around it were also doing extremely well. What also was a negative was the escalator that was sitting out front of my store and blocking it, and as people departed the escalator, they would walk right out into the mall without seeing me. So, there was a lot going on in this deal that I had to do the homework on, but, everything seemed like it was a go. Now, as things turned out, everything went wrong, from the contractor who went way over budget. The mall and the contractor ended up getting in a big argument over who was supposed to be pulling permits on work that both did on my store. And the commencement day of my store was coming up. Now, at that point, money and credit lines were running on fumes, and when we finally opened, I had had many sleepless nights, and I wondered over and over and over if I made a mistake, during the process of this store. When these moments of uncertainty came, I went back to the original homework I had done, and it spelled out the same answer, which, this will be another successful store. So as it turned out, all that negative emotion was a complete waste of time, because after I opened, I got off to a great start as I had originally calculated I would. It was a great decision. Now, once again, intellect, not emotion, during the process of buying or selling a company is what you need to use. So for more information on the sales process, go to websiteclosers.com or websiteclosers@youtube.com. Thank you for listening.